Hi guys, welcome to Contest Prep University. I'm Adam Atkinson and I'm here with Dr. Kori Propst, and today we're going to discuss low motivation and how to overcome it. So this can happen in multiple forms of prep: end of prep, beginning of prep, maybe the off season. And I like to treat bodybuilding like a dimmer switch, where there's going to be times where I'm just not 100% on. And I think it's really important to realize that there are going to be some times where you're just not going to feel like you're crushing your workouts 100%. And I think a lot of this is being okay with that, but also knowing when to readjust, reassess what you're doing. And maybe I think one of the biggest things is we get so caught up on doing bodybuilder-esque things that we totally ignore how many other fitness opportunities there are out there for us. Just like you riding your bike versus maybe going to the gym. There's so much for us out there that we can explore. And I think sometimes we get so caught up in doing what is 100% right all the time, that we forget that we can do other things and stay in great shape and have good health. So let's talk about that a little bit, and what are some tips for low motivation from Dr. Kori today?
Adam, you just hit on a lot of really awesome points, and you made me start thinking about a few different clients that I've had who have said, bodybuilder-esque mindset is very black and white, right? I have
Absolutely.
to this way at this time for this length of time, and it has to look just so. And like I said, I've had a lot of clients who they have these very strong beliefs about what's okay and what isn't in terms of how they're going to move their bodies. Like, I have to go to the gym. I have to do a weight workout. And sure, that's important. It really is. And do you enjoy that? Is that fun for you? Maybe most of the time it is, but what happens when you feel really burnt out with that sort of activity? Do you give yourself permission to go do something else that's enlivening and stimulating? I remember when I was competing, I trained with weights, and I trained heavy with weights. And I also ran all the time, and I cycled all the time, and I did functional training all the time. And I taught group fitness classes, and I needed all of those different things to keep me motivated and to keep me energized, and so I could feel entertained and just energetic with what I was pursuing. So I love that you made that point. The dimmer switch analogy is something that I've used too. Love that, because I think it applies to all of life, not just bodybuilding. But let's begin to ask ourselves, like, what are all the other opportunities that I might try? In terms of motivation, we really value novelty. We like to be spontaneous, and we actually need that as humans to feel alive and to feel vital. And so if we are, and this is very common because this is an extreme sport and requires a lot of attention and diligence. If we are just locked in the same routine and we do the same thing every single day in the same way, it can become very rote and very depressing very quickly. So to find ways to build in fun and spontaneity and some play by doing the things that you just said, like, you're a rollerblader. I'm going to go do my cardio on the rollerblades. That's awesome. Yep. Yeah, or go be outside instead of in a dark gym that doesn't have any light. Or let's all get together and go for a run as a group. So things like that. But I think that we need to understand that motivation in general isn't this all or nothing phenomenon. And let's not moralize motivation. And what I mean by that is, Like, I'm not a bad person and don't have things figured out and must be doing something wrong if my motivation feels low. That's normal for all of the reasons that you listed, especially as we move through prep and, you know, food's getting tighter. We're getting tighter, which means that our hormones are changing. We're getting leaner. We're feeling more depleted. For all of these reasons, like, our emotional energy is, that's how we usually define motivation, is like that sense of aliveness that we feel, and ooh, I want to do it, and I have, you know, I'm just excited about getting to the gym and prepping my food, and that's impacted by our physiological state. How much sleep we're getting or not getting, how difficult our workouts have been, all of these things. So we may find that our motivation, our energy to do things, it fluctuates throughout the day. Mine does now. I'm not prepping.
Right, yeah.
I a lot of times don't feel like doing something. This is a great example, though, of when we don't feel like doing anything, just recognizing the thought, I don't feel like it, and not having to believe it, not following the thought, not using it as a directive of our behavior, but just to say, okay, I don't feel like it. Like, I didn't get much sleep last night, had a kind of a rough weekend, and I need to do it anyway because it's important and it moves me closer to, you know, what I want to accomplish. Those are the thoughts that I begin believing. So part of it is when we recognize we're in that state of low energy, forgiving ourselves, you know, let's offer ourselves some compassion in that moment. Like, it's not easy. It kind of sucks. And at the same time, like, I can still move forward and get done what needs doing within that dimmer switch sort of a mode. So I may go to the gym not feeling like it, and my workout may look different, right? Mm-hmm. I may not do exactly what was written down for my workout. I may go at 50% intensity than what was written on my workout, but I got there. I did it. And I'm no further back in any way. I've actually just created a really nice pattern that, if I keep repeating, becomes automatic. When I didn't feel like it, I did it anyway. I got it done. And, you know, now that becomes this new neural circuit, and it creates a level of strength. The other thing I want to say, Adam, is that mood follows action. So a lot of times we act in a certain way because of the mood that we're in, right? I feel low, so I'm going to do what's low. Do what takes less energy. If I don't feel like it, I'm not going to do it. We actually kind of need to flip that over and say, how do I want to feel? And what actions can I take that are going to promote that feeling and that mood, and then take them? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. You're reminding me of something you taught me, and I'll piggyback off the end of this.
Yeah. Okay. Don't forget it.
I won't.
Okay. So the other thing I'm thinking too, Adam, is that we want to remind ourselves of the choices that we have. So in any situation where we're feeling a low sense of energy and motivation, let's ask, like, well, what choices do I have in this situation? Because a lot of times low energy and low motivation can be due to us feeling like we have to do something a certain way, or we hear those shoulds in our head. And so moving out of that, giving ourselves a little bit more space and asking, well, actually, I have some choices here. What are they? They may not be what was scheduled, but what else could possibly get the job done in a different sort of a way? We know that choice, which is a sense of autonomy, is one of our most basic psychological needs. And in motivational theory, these basic psychological needs govern the amount of aliveness and energy we're going to feel to move into our daily lives with. So asking ourselves, what are my choices can really, really help inch the dial up on the dimmer switch for motivation a little bit. Connection also is super, super key. And I would say to connect with those who support you and who encourage you. And then again, that's another of those basic psychological needs that when satisfied really boost our level of motivation. So connect with people who support and encourage you, who you really feel like you belong with. Get out and go do something with other people who maybe have similar values and similar goals. Get together for a workout instead of going to the gym all by yourself, for example. And then I would say, Adam, really focus on visualizing success. And this can be like a grand level of success as you move through your entire prep. Now you're on stage and it moving into post competition, or just in that moment as you're in that like space where you're like, oh, no motivation. I don't want to, I don't feel like it. Taking some space, closing your eyes and visualizing you taking the steps to do what you don't feel like doing or something else, because the brain can't differentiate between real or imagined. So visualizing is a really strong strategy for getting yourself into this place where you take the actions necessary to build the motivation and kind of move through a low period of motivation.
Absolutely. And that reminded me a lot about what you taught me about projection bias and action versus outcome. If I do this, what's the outcome going to be? So a good example is I'm going to sleep in and not do my cardio today. You know, now you might be able to push that to another day, but if it's the last day of the week and you're supposed to hit 5 sessions and you've only done 4, you know, you might have some guilt associated with that afterwards. So, you know, one thing that I think is big for people is maybe like sleeping in too much or maybe even potentially overeating. It will feel good if I eat this, but then we realize the projection of what we thought that would feel like isn't as good as what we thought it would feel.
Awesome point. Yeah, I call that playing it forward. Yeah, let's just play it forward. See the action taking place and what are the consequences going to be? What are the emotional consequences, potential consequences going to be, and what are the physical consequences going to be? Part of this for me, Adam, was in the very, very beginning of each prep. I really kind of assessed for myself what it is I wouldn't want to say when I got off that stage. I didn't want to have to say to myself, I wish I wouldn't have, or I wish I would have. I didn't want there to be anything at the end of those sentences.
I like that. That's a great thing to say.
Yeah.
So I think this was extremely valuable. Really good points here. So.
Well, awesome. I mean, I would ask you, Adam, when you have moments of just low energy, do you have 1 or 2 things that have become routine for you to do around that?
Yeah, honestly, getting up and moving. I feel like when I put my body in motion, it stays in motion. That can even involve me like emailing clients. If I feel like I'm just getting a little bit of brain fog and I'm not like just killing it on my email, I'll go for a walk or swim. Maybe I may not feel like I have time to lift. But if I go out for 15 minutes, it's the shortest workout in the world, but it will seriously charge me up to be in a really good headspace. I also feel like I write better emails and I communicate with my clients better when I'm a little bit active before. I think they can probably tell, like, Adam must have worked out like right before he sent this.
This email's making a little more sense than it did before.
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
that's a
and
real
I just feel more connected with the world that way. Honestly, sometimes I do audio responses for clients, and sometimes I'm out on a walking trail while I'm doing those, and I'm just casually just connecting with nature and then people, which is great. So.
Yes. Oh, such great points. Get outside, guys, get some fresh air, and usually clarity comes when you move your body too. You'll get out of your head, because, dude, let me just say this real fast before we end this one.
Yes.
Competing, as much as it is, like, we call it bodybuilding, we are so disembodied. Like, we're training our bodies, but we are so much in our heads the entire time. We're not connecting with our bodies. Does that make sense? Like, we are all up here. We are cerebralizing everything, assessing everything. And so I would say this too. One of the best things you could do as a competitor, instead of just lifting, go do some yoga. Do some sort of movement that connects you with your body and helps you appreciate your body, because what we get into is ignoring all the body's cues. Hunger we ignore, fatigue we ignore, right? We ignore all of the signals that typically we look at as really important. When we're competing, we're just like, nope, not going to listen to you. Nope, not going to listen to you either. We shove them down, we shove them away. So we need to practice being embodied, even at a time when we're, I don't think we can avoid doing some of those things, Adam. I don't think we can as clients who are prepping.
Right.
But we can do our best to continue trying to honor the body at the same time and connecting with it, just like you mentioned, by getting into nature, feeling our breathing, our body's breathing, walking on that trail, and getting some clarity from that experience too, which increases our level of energy and motivation and aliveness. So
I've also too, when prepping, always tried to make a spiritual experience of, you know, I know there's people out there who eat less than I do, and that is like their actual lifestyle. There's not an opportunity for them to have more. And when they are getting their food, they're probably walking further than I am to get it. So, you know, there's really a lot of value and spiritual value that can be provided, and appreciation with that this process is a choice where, you know, other people are starving and eating less than we are.
Yeah, that's really beautiful, Adam. This is a privilege.
Yes.
We're choosing this. No one's forcing us to do it, and to connect with that. Yeah, that's powerful.
It is. Well, thank you so much for your time today, and we will see you guys on the next Contest Prep University.
Thank you, Adam. Thanks, guys.